Now that the NBA season has been put on hold, game reports seem to have been replaced by a whole lot of trade rumors. And with every NBA analyst giving their 2 cents on what they think will happen next season, it can be hard to figure out what rumors are bogus and which are likely to be true. So today we're going to do our best to predict the top 10 trades that will happen in 2021. But before we do, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications button so that you don't miss out on all of our latest content. Number 10. Rudy Gobert to the Atlanta Hawks. After Gobert's childish actions in a press conference led him to infecting both himself and fellow teammate Donovan Mitchell with the coronavirus, their relationship took a massive turn for the worse. And although they have reportedly decided to put this behind them and move forward and act professionally, as per Utah Jazz executive Dennis Lindsey, that doesn't mean that the team won't look to ship out the star center as a precaution. We think that the Jazz, who are currently the 4th best team in the West, will want a player that will help them maintain a solid defensive rating. As a result, we predict that Gobert will be sent to Atlanta for Clint Capella and a future 2nd-round pick. This trade is great for Utah because they would acquire a solid rim protector on an affordable contract, allowing them to offer Mitchell a max deal come 2020. On the other hand, this trade could also be great for Atlanta because they would acquire an experienced center who is still in his prime. As a result, this would help improve Atlanta's defensive rating for years to come while giving the Jazz a solid replacement up front. Number 9. Bradley Beal to the Denver Nuggets. Bradley Beal is one of the NBA's hottest trade commodities, and it's not hard to see why. Averaging an insane 30 points per game, he is truly one of the league's top offensive players, despite being on one of the league's worst teams. As a result, NBA contenders could gain a lot from having him on their squad. We think that the Denver Nuggets could be a great option, especially considering their lack of superstar guards outside of Jamal Murray. As a result, we predict that Bradley Beal will be dealt to the Nuggets in exchange for Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks. This trade would be mutually beneficial as it would allow the Nuggets to contend now while giving the Wizards a bunch of young pieces to build around, setting them up for a bright future once John Wall returns. Number 8. Myles Turner to the San Antonio Spurs. While Myles Turner is a great all-around center, he has been outclassed this season by Domantas Sabonis. As a result, if the Pacers would like to become a contender, they would need to replace Turner with a more experienced star. Cue the San Antonio Spurs. They've been on the decline since Kawhi's exit and would likely accept a deal swapping LaMarcus Aldridge and Derrick White for Myles Turner and Jeremy Lamb. The Pacers would win as they would benefit from the veteran experience and solid productivity of Aldridge, while also gaining a young yet useful starter in White. On the other hand, the Spurs would obtain a solid young center in Myles Turner and an effective 6th man in Jeremy Lamb. So, for the sake of both teams, we hope they test this trade out.
In over 1,000 minutes on the court, those two had an awful 2.1 net rating. They had the 29th ranked offense, but the 2nd ranked defense with those two on the floor. With the right role and teammates, Myles Turner could be a valuable player on a really good team, but Sabonis clearly emerged as the future player here for Indy.
Number 7. Derrick Rose to the Los Angeles Lakers. Derrick Rose has been a great asset for Detroit this season, averaging 18 points and 6 assists per game. However, with the Pistons being one of the worst teams in the NBA, and with Rose already being 31 years old, it makes little sense to keep the experienced guard around. So, we anticipate a trade that moves Rose to the sunny streets of Los Angeles in exchange for Kyle Kuzma and a 2024 2nd-round pick. This would work out for Detroit, as they would land a solid young talent in Kuzma along with a pick for the future. Los Angeles, on the other hand, would get a high-impact point guard who could be just the push they need to beat out their Western Conference rivals. If this trade were to happen, we are sure that both teams would benefit in the long run. Number 6. Kevin Love to the Portland Trail Blazers. Kevin Love is still a very talented forward. However, the veteran is wasting away the final years of his prime with a team that is in full tank mode. Thus, we think the Cavaliers would unload him for some young talent. Although they have already rejected a previous offer from the Trail Blazers, we think they should get back to the negotiation table. While it may be tough to get the Cavs to agree to terms, we think that trading Love for Hassan Whiteside and a 2021 first-round pick would be fair. This would be ideal as Love would be back in his home state of Oregon and could provide the talent needed to elevate the Trailblazers to true playoff status. On the other hand, Whiteside could be a talented forward for the Cavs to pair with Drummond, and a first-round pick would land Cleveland a young talent that could develop into something special. Therefore, considering both teams' short and long-term goals, this trade makes a lot of sense.
Exciting to come here, for the first time with this team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Portland's always where my heart is going to be. My immediate family still lives here. I love coming home, and it's a place that I always have loved playing. And I was looking at it today. I said, this is the Rose Garden to me. That's what I grew up with. So no, it's a fun place to come and play. The crowd, the energy, the fans are always great. Always tough but fun to play in front of, so it's good to come home to Portland.
Number 5. Davis Bertans to the Boston Celtics. Bertans has had a breakout season for the Wizards this year, averaging a career high of 15 points per game while shooting 43% from the three. However, at 27 years of age, he is likely not a part of Washington's long-term rebuild. As a result, we could see the Boston Celtics trading for Bertans in exchange for a 2021 first-round pick, Romeo Langford, and Semi Ojeleye. This would be ideal as Boston would gain some much-needed depth on the bench, while the Wizards would bring a nice haul of young assets to help propel the team's rebuild. Number 4. Aaron Gordon to the Phoenix Suns. While Aaron Gordon may be a great defensive player and a notoriously good dunker, he is not helping the Orlando Magic's measly 24th ranked offense. As a result, we think that the Phoenix Suns, who have a 19th ranked defense, would agree to swap Kelly Oubre Jr. for Aaron Gordon. Both would stand to benefit, as the Magic would acquire a near 20-point-per-night shooter, while the Suns would acquire a great defensive piece to pair beside Booker and Ayton. We're confident that if this trade were to fall through, both teams could expect to make the playoffs next season. Number 3. Julius Randle to the Phoenix Suns. There is no question that Julius Randle is a solid player, and with averages of about 20 points and 10 rebounds per game, he could be a great contributor to many NBA franchises. However, he's definitely not the superstar the Knicks wanted, and there's little chance of him ever leading the team to the playoffs. Therefore, the Knicks could get a decent haul by trading him for some young talent, and we think they'd agree to deal Randle to the Suns for Mikal Bridges, Dario Saric, and a 2022 first-round pick. This would be great, as it would not only make the Phoenix Suns a playoff team overnight, but also give the Knicks 2 young players with a lot of upside, along with a first-round pick that will likely fall just short of the lottery. In short, this trade could be just what the Knicks need to fast-track their rebuild, and exactly what the Suns need to finally end their playoff drought. Number 2. Steven Adams to the Sacramento Kings. Although he nearly averages a double-double per game, Steven Adams rarely gets the credit he deserves on an OKC team filled with more well-known players such as Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Danilo Gallinari. However, OKC knows that they will never win a championship with this roster, yet because they are a small market team, they can't really afford to tank. As a result, they could use a great shooter that can improve their relatively lackluster 14th rated offense. Although next season will be the last season of Steven Adams' contract, he could realistically be traded to the Kings for Nemanja Bjelica and Harry Giles. This would be great for both teams, as it would provide OKC with a talented shooter in Bjelica and a young prospect in Giles, while the Kings would get a solid all-around big man in Adams, fulfilling their need for a center and helping them push for a late playoff spot. Number 1. Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Toronto Raptors. It may sound crazy, but we wouldn't be surprised if Giannis Antetokounmpo was traded from Milwaukee to Toronto in a sign-and-trade deal for Serge Ibaka, Norman Powell, OG Anunoby, and a 2022 first-round pick. While this would take a lot of convincing on the part of the Raptors, what many people do not know is that the Antetokounmpo family is extremely close with Raptors GM Masai Ujiri. In fact, he was instrumental in helping them immigrate from Nigeria to Greece so they could have a better life. Therefore, if the right pieces were offered, we see little reason for the Greek freak to not want to go to a team that is not only one of the best in the league, but has a number of international players that would help him feel right at home.
We're looking at the potential free agents. Now that the 2020 trade deadline's in the rearview mirror, 2021 free agency. We're not talking about 2020, guys, because from now on, those faces you just saw on screen, those will be the guys that everyone is planning for. You remember how for years we talked about the summer of 2019 free agency?
Yeah.
We promised you it would be a big deal.
It was.
Guess what? Everyone in the league changed teams.
That's all we have for today, folks, and thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments down below who you think will be traded in 2021. And if you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the notifications button so that you don't miss out on all of our latest content.